Ladies and gentlemen, it is another wonderful day for the Business Bear Podcast. It's your buddy Connor Norman here, your business development specialist, with another awesome guest that we're going to be talking to in just a few short minutes. If you're tuning in to the Business Bear Podcast for the first time, well, what is this show? I'll tell you what, it's our mover and shaker podcast that lets you know what's happening right here in our backyard and in our business community. We talk with economic development professionals, our local businesses, and our movers and shakers in the economic development world. So, if you have a business out there and you're listening and you want to be on the show, give me a call. Call me at 301-334-7281 or email me at cnorman@garrettcountymd.gov. Again, that's 301-334-7281 or email cnorman@garrettcountymd.gov. All right, before we kick off the program today, a few quick housekeeping items. Remember, this show is endorsed by Garrett County Business Development, and any opinions expressed by the host or their guest are their own and do not reflect that of the department or Garrett County government. All right, now that we've got that out of the way, let's kick the show off. I've got Mr. Brady Benton here with me today. Brady, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm excited to have you in here. We have just recently met and kind of kicked it off here over the last couple months, and it's just been so fascinating what you have in this community. In fact, I'll take this aside. We actually met at a wedding. So I was DJing. You were out there helping out with the parents, Gehringer's Catering. You guys do a fantastic job, by the way. The food was spectacular that night. But it was really cool to connect with you there. And again, we've kind of grown to know each other a little more. And, you know, you've got a lot going on from your own business in this community. You're helping out your parents in their business in this community. You've got great plans for expansion in the future, and you do a lot in the nonprofit world. And I'm just excited to have you in here on the program and be sharing with our listeners what you've got going on. So tell me a little bit about yourself, Brady, and tell our listeners about your business and what you do right here in the community.
Yeah, so thanks again. Can't thank you enough for being here. Looking forward to talking a little bit more about it. So I grew up in Accident, right in the middle of town. Grew up there, graduated from Northern High School, traveled all up and down the East Coast, decided I wanted to work in the golf industry. So became a golf pro, worked in Baltimore, New Jersey, Myrtle Beach, all over the place, teaching, giving lessons, working on the green grass side of things, and just I've fallen in love with the game ever since I picked it up right before high school. Since then, I've really had a lot of experience all over the east coast of the country to make my knowledge and my expertise a little bit better. And when I started having a family, I decided it was about time that we figure out something to do with ourselves and the kids. So my wife and I agreed that we would move back home. We're both from this area. Both of our families are still here. So it just kind of made sense to come back. And I've always had a love for junior sports, just youth sports in general, whether it be football, basketball, baseball. But obviously my expertise is in golf. So that is one that I would say this area has been lacking for a little while. So my goal was when we came back, I wanted to do something to help bring more kids to the game, as well as also their parents and adults to be able to play better. We have a lot of very well-rounded athletes in this area. I mean, we could see how many state champions from both Northern and Southern, for that matter, including people who've gone on and played college sports, a couple professionals here and there. And honestly, it's just kind of an untapped resource in the athletics. And I'm such a big proponent in it because I've seen what the game for golf itself has given me. And I know there's plenty of kids and even adults out there that could really get more out of whatever sport they want to play. So coming back, I wanted to start something that I could help people play a little bit more, get into the game more, grow this golf industry in this area more. Originally opened this up as Brady Benton Golf Instruction. Grew very quickly. We found that there was a little bit more interest than we originally expected, so it was time for a rebrand to kind of grow the business a little bit more. So we ended up going with Pin High Golf. Funny enough, the story behind it is really just that with my own game, I always ended up pin high to the hole whenever I would play with other pros, and it just became a thing. So it just kind of stuck. So from there, we went with Pin High Golf, grew the business a bit more, expanded some locations, and just turned it into a larger business to be able to reach a larger area between Garrett and Allegheny County now. The golf industry is tens of $1 billion worth of revenue all the way around. So it's one that it's kind of an untapped resource in this area again, where if we can grow it here, who knows where it could go. I mean, we could see more golf courses, more golf experiences all over the place, and that could lead to uh, plenty of connections along the lines of business as well. As many people say, golf is a great tool for business. A lot of business deals happen on the golf
Oh
course
yeah,
as
they
well,
often call it the language of business.
for sure.
And it's quite interesting in Garrett County. It seems pretty prevalent because we have some nice courses. Quite arguably three, now four. How many courses do we have here in Garrett County?
So we have five total.
Okay.
So you have Oakland Golf Club, which is our kind of our grandfather. That's the first one in Garrett County. It's been around for a long time. Then you have the two WISP courses with Fantasy Valley and Lodestone. Both courses are fantastic. And then, of course, you have the new one, which, or not really the new one, but the newly finished one, 1,000 Acres, with their finally finished back nine, which
Oh yeah.
the projection on that looks incredible.
Oh,
Can't wait to see how
spectacular.
that looks down the road as they continue to finish their projects. And then you have kind of an unheard of one called Winfield. It's a 9-hole little golf course, and I may be wrong, but I believe he built it on his old dairy farm. Love the environment there. Super relaxed, a lot of
Wow.
fun. So um, with those five, like you said, we have a lot of golf courses around, and it's kind of funny to see that we don't have more golfers.
Yeah, you would
with what we
assume.
have.
I mean, like it's Garrett County. We have a lot of wide open spaces. As you said, five beautiful courses that people could go and get involved with. And unfortunately, we're finding a little disparity in players. We need a little more out there. So it's time to set down maybe the pigskin, set down the soccer ball, and get out there and do some golf in addition to these other sports. And that's what's great about golf is you really can go out and I guess unless you're during a we'll talk about this a little more, break down, if there are tournament seasons and what that looks like. Or it seems rather that it works really well outside of the realm of, your traditional sports.
Right. Yeah, for sure. So you just look at your average sports seasons. Football season normally starts in about August, especially for like our high school kids. That's normally when we start to see the pads going on and cleats getting laced up. Once football season ends right around this time of year, kind of late fall, early winter, then you start to see more basketball, wrestling, that kind of stuff. And then as soon as that goes over and we switch to spring sports, it's right into baseball, right into tennis and all the other spring sports. But then we really don't have a whole lot going over the summertime, especially for the juniors in the area. So, with all of the recreational activities that Garrett County has to offer, from the kayaking, the whitewater recreation, to hiking, and all of the other amazing things that this area has to offer, it's not one that's talked about enough. And
Yeah.
golf is one that I think is definitely a big part of the industry that if we could really bring some more in, it would be huge, huge for this area to be able to do that.
So this is kind of a great transition moment because not only have you identified the problem, you're actually working really hard to switch that around. So you've got an engaging little tournament that has really involved the youth of this area. Can we talk a little bit about that before we break down what you do as a business owner?
Yeah, absolutely. So, myself and my colleague Jeremy Johnson, we both kind of met by chance at Northern High School, just in passing and realizing that we both kind of had similar interest in the game of golf. Now, he's a math teacher, of course, myself being a golf pro, a little bit more industry experience in that point, but he also had a lot of experience in youth tournaments with his son. So we got to talking and we just decided, hey, look, this is something that this area needs. So we went ahead and made our own junior golf tour, essentially. So this
Wow.
is the Garrett County Junior Golf Tour. We just started last year in 2024. We put on 9 hole tournaments and one 18-hole championship. We used all 5 of those local golf courses,
Awesome.
playing two tournaments at each one. We had, for our first year, which we felt was an incredible start, we had over 43 kids sign up.
How fantastic is that?
Right. So, and everything went off very well. We had a lot of community support, a lot of local businesses and individuals that really chipped in to help out a lot to make sure that this is something that gains some traction and gets started. And looking into next year, we're potentially going to have somewhere in the range of 60 to 70 kids.
Awesome.
So, with that being said, with having that growth and being able to build this the way that we want, we're really only looking to help reach the younger kids from ages 8 to 18. experience a new sport, get into a game that they may have never even thought about before, and potentially give them something they can play for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
As we know, especially as prevalent as it is right now with all of the sports that we watch, I mean, concussions are huge, injuries are huge. I mean, it seems like last few years we've seen more and more injuries on a football field, and it just seems more and more common. So getting into something that's a little bit less impact on your body, but arguably more difficult, technically speaking, um, is something that can challenge even the best of athletes and get them into something that they want to work towards and play with, which ultimately, starting them young, they have a much better chance to
Oh,
learn and get better.
absolutely.
So,
Well, and it's great in an area like ours where there's so much you can do. I hate this argument that there's nothing to do in Garrett County. If you make that argument, you're really not looking hard. There's so many groups to be involved with, and we have a growing sector that understands that sports and group-based exercises are how we keep our community together, or how we keep them engaged locally. People need an environment, people need a team to be on. So having this connection where they can go out with friends, they can go out with teammates, they can go out and experience a sport like this. Not everyone's going to be able to do soccer, not everyone's going to be able to do football, and maybe they want the more wide open space field that golf can give you, the peace and serenity that golf can give you, and just the simplicity of the sport. You're going to be able to break this down way better than I can. But there's a fantastic movement and mechanics to it that it just seems like more people from different walks of life can be involved in golf that necessarily can't do other sports. Is that true?
oh yeah, 100%. So, I'll give you some experience of myself. So, I worked for a company called Golf Tech. They're a international company at this point. They employ over 1,000 people. Most of those are all PGA professionals as well. Incredible company, loved it. Just needed to move home ultimately. So,
Yeah.
and working with that company, I got to see over 6,000 different students throughout my time there. So, with being able to see that and meet all these different people, I saw people from all over the place. And in addition, uh, golf opens up a world to people who normally wouldn't get a chance to play your mainstream, your big four sports, right? In high school, I had a friend who couldn't really play contact sports as he had a disability there, and he was able to play golf, and he stuck with it, played it all the way through high school, and allowed him to be involved. He made a lot of friends that way. We still have connections with those friends as well. Another one is when I got to college at the Golf Academy of America in Myrtle Beach. My second or third semester when I was there, we had a new student come in. This was his first semester. I'll plug him real quick. He's a great guy. His name is Brandon Canisi. He's originally from New Jersey, and his own foundation and social media is Whole High Golf. And he was actually born without the lower portions of his arms. Now he has some small appendages to be able to work with. And looking at that and thinking about golf, most people would say, well, how are you supposed to play golf that way? Well, luckily, he's able to get custom made golf clubs for him. He actually tucks the club underneath of his arm and uses his body to turn and play. He posts a ton of videos. He's played in the U.S. Adaptive Open, which is a new disability centered U.S. Open or major championship for golf. And it's just incredible to see. I mean, we have wounded warriors who've lost legs, lost arms, people who can't stand and use carts to help them move around the golf course. It's something that we're reaching a larger level of people just to be able to include different athletes that people want to be involved. I mean, everybody
That's
wants
awesome.
to play and be in it, but we can't always do that with our contact sports because it's too risky for their bodies and risky for their overall health and their wellness.
Hmm.
But golf can provide that for so many people, and it, like we said, it's something that I know of a lot of kids being in the school system, things like that as well. I know of a lot of kids that they may not play a sport, they may not get out very much, or they might not even have the opportunity to. And having these tournaments and having this exposure to the junior tour is allowing them an opportunity to get into something athletic, get them off their butts, get them on the golf course, get them outside, moving, doing something to keep them active, and it keeps them from a lot of kids out of trouble in a way as well. So and it helps guide them, and we reinforce a lot of really good stuff too. So we're not just out there just to have them go play a game and hit a ball around a golf course.
Yeah.
We're teaching them a lot of life skills too. Just understanding rules and being able to make conversation and network with these other kids. So it's been very rewarding to watch these kids grow through this process, and I can't wait to see how it continues to.
Yeah, that is fantastic. And it's great to see that you guys are growing. We're happy to get behind you guys and help push this to the next level. Because again, it's getting people involved right here in our community and teaching these kids some great skills and a great sport that they'll use for the rest of their life. Now, you're clearly passionate. You clearly know what you're talking about. Where does this passion for golf come from? Where did it start for you?
Ah, that's a great one. So when I was about 11 or 12, we did weigh-ins for I guess it would be middle school age football. I was on the Steelers at Northern,
Okay.
and I was in 8th grade. And when I weighed in, I was about 93 pounds and 5'4", something like that. I was about 2 or 3 pounds off the cutoff that I had to move up. So I had the option to play on the Division I team or the Division II team. Division I was all made up of my classmates at 8th grade. Division II was essentially a mixture of 6th and 7th grade, smaller kids. I chose to play on the Division II team because I was smaller and I didn't really enjoy the thought of potentially getting hurt.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Yeah.
So in doing so, I kind of had a realization, which might have been pretty mature for somebody my age at 11 or 12 at that point. And I kind of said, hey, if I continue to play football, there's a pretty good chance I'm not going to grow as quickly as some of these other kids. I might get hurt and potentially not be able to play a sport again if I continue to play. So I had to kind of be mature and think through that decision. So I said, well, I think I need to back off of football. I love it to death. I love the sport. I want to play it. I'll still continue to watch it and support all my friends, but I think I need to find something else. Well, for the fall season, there was cross country and soccer, and that was about all that was available to me at Northern at the time.
Yeah.
And I'm not a runner. So
Not me either.
I had to find something else. So just so happened that my stepfather had this old set of golf clubs in the garage. I tried it out a little bit over the summer and started to kind of get this addiction to it almost. Like I hit a couple good shots. I was like,
Nice.
man, I want to do that again.
Yeah.
Kind of like everybody says, you hit that one good shot. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, this is what that's supposed to feel like. So I kind of got this drive of like, man, this is fun. I really want to try this. So I picked up the game, played a couple rounds over the summer, got my first set of clubs, and I played on the high school team my first year ever playing. Ever since then, I have been absolutely, undeniably hooked. It is a game that, to me, is like an endless puzzle. So as a professional going through, in all fairness, I was in the same shoes as just about everybody else at some point. Going through the progressions of learning the game, understanding how the body works, understanding the physics behind it. There's a lot of math, a lot of science, a lot of anatomy and kinesthetics, things like that. All of those things go together, and it's like a giant puzzle to me. So I'm a problem solver. I love to find the problem and fix it, right, and find a way to fix it. And golf really kind of fit my need to fill in that void of making sure there was a puzzle to fix all the time.
Oh, absolutely.
And anybody who's played golf can understand that regardless of when you fix it one time, 2 weeks later, you're going to have a new thing to fix.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So I kind of found that passion then. And originally my plan was going to the military. Had some family stuff come up and had some change of heart. So ended up kind of changing my college plans. Went to college for the Golf Academy of America to get my golf operations management degree there. And I mean, as soon as I set foot in the school, I had this kind of awakening moment of like, yeah, this is what I want to do. I'm
Nice.
here.
That's awesome.
I found it. This is it. So, took from there and built my career from that point. And ultimately, as crazy as I might have been for golf before, I am probably 10 times as passionate about it now as I was then. So,
well, that's awesome. And it's great to have you in our community doing this. So you fast forward to now, or at least a couple years ago, you decide that, okay, it's time for me to start teaching this locally and going into business for yourself. Talk about that process.
Yeah, so we moved back in 2023 in the fall, and I wanted to get involved in the community anyways, so I actually helped out with some basketball coaching, some other sports. I helped a couple family members out with some sports, things like that. And then once I met Jeremy and we started talking about the junior tour, that was about the same time that I said, okay, it's time to put pen to paper and make this a process and actually bring my teaching abilities back to this area.
Yeah.
So around March of 2024, I started the golf instruction business, essentially building golf swings, building plans to help people continue to get better, doing custom club fittings, being able to help just share my knowledge of the game in any way that I can. And I was able to get partnerships with the Bogey Club, which is right here in Oakland, Bogey Club Golf Lounge, which is a nice private indoor simulator, and then also Frostburg Sport over in Frostburg in the uh, New George's Creek Shopping Center. So between those two simulators, I was able to kind of bounce back and forth, do my indoor teaching with some of the best technology in the game, still being able to do all the measurements that I need, custom club fit, all the above, and be able to share that passion and that knowledge with everybody. And it gained traction actually very quickly, and especially a lot with those junior tour kids. They, after seeing a couple things that I could bring to the table, they all wanted to come check it out. And then a lot of adults that wanted to learn some new things and get better have all really come in, and it has grown a lot.
Oh, I can imagine. I mean, you've got something that, again, all walks of life can be involved with here. And we have some beautiful courses, like you said, 5 in the area that people can be out there and taking advantage of, whether they live here or I'm sure you get a lot of visitors that come in and want a little sharpening up. Do you get any groups or anything like that that just want a few pointers before they go out?
Yeah, absolutely. So I recently started doing some group lessons and started putting together some opportunities where, especially for like business development or team building exercises. What I do is I take a couple hours with a group of like 5 or 6 people. We all come together. We talk about golf a little bit. We talk about some basic stuff. Obviously, you can't really go quite as into detail with those with like an individual lesson compared to a group lesson. However, there's a lot of great information. Plus, we all get to sit and talk and have a good time.
Yeah.
Play some music, play some golf while we're in there, and really learn, but have a good time at the same token there. So, with all of that, it allows some groups to come in and do some team building, some personal growth with their team as well, which ultimately transfers out to our local courses. Then those 5 or 6 people that went and did this group lesson together, now they might say, "Hey, Friday afternoon, we're done work a little bit early. Who wants to go out to the golf course and play 9 holes before we go home?" Now you got another tee time filled at one of the local golf courses, and not only am I helping the courses by getting these people involved, but we're growing the number of people that want to play as well.
I think you brought up a really good point too here. So a lot of the times when people are outdoors or in playing an outdoor sport, especially in Garrett County, things can be weather dependent. And now we have the option of doing things indoors. You talked about the golf simulator. So now you have this outdoor indoor combination. Golf then becomes something year round. And I imagine that really helps you with your lessons and really helps you with people looking to get into the sport that previously this was unattainable. We have a lot of snow during the winters. We have a lot of rainy days. These simulators like the Bogey Club have opened up a whole new world for the sport, and I'm sure that's been beneficial.
Oh yeah, for sure. So it's something we've seen, especially since I would say even since COVID in the industry. Um, Funny enough, COVID was one of the things that boosted the golf industry. Funny enough,
Oh, really?
within 3 months of essentially the shutdown, everybody was looking for something to do. Video games were boring at this point for most people. Sitting in your house doing who knows what was getting
Oh,
old.
yeah. Yeah.
So as things started to open back up, golf was one of the first things and was one of the only things for a long time that you could actually do and socially distance properly
Yeah.
and actually kind of get out and do something. So we saw one of the largest booms in the golf industry through COVID since we saw Tiger come out and do his Tiger boom with the housing boom at the same time up until about 2008. The growth we saw was absolutely insane. Um, if you were to look at graphs of the golf industry alone, you would see this kind of nice steady line going up and then this sharp spike for about a year and a half that
Wow.
went just insanely vertical. And
Yeah.
then now it's leveled off a little bit. We've kind of seen a little bit of a cap lately, just because um, there's only so much room right this second. We couldn't really build enough golf courses and stuff in that amount of time
Yeah,
to bring that
exactly.
in. Plus, things opened up and people got back to some of their normal routines. So it kind of leveled off a little bit, but it's still at that same level of growth essentially. So in that growth, we've seen something everybody is familiar with now is Topgolf, which is the 3-floor driving range that has like 360 tee boxes, and it looks like a giant bowling alley for golf where you drink and have sports on TV and music blaring. It's just a
Oh
big
yeah.
party, and it's fantastic. That has opened up a whole new side of the industry, and then kind of in between the two are your simulators, like we were talking about. So the simulators bring in, I would say, a ton of benefits, but two or three really main benefits there, right? Number one, like you said, weather dependency is huge. I mean, don't get me wrong, as crazy as I am for golf, I'll play in wind, snow, rain, sleet. Played in all of it in one day, and for that matter, right? So
Yeah. Well, for the non-hardcore.
right, exactly. But for your average guy who wants to go out and just play 18 holes with his buddies and have a couple of drinks, I don't think anybody wants to be out there in 40 miles an hour in wind and downpour rain, right?
Yeah.
And also, sometimes the courses can't really sustain that. So, what's our next option? So, a lot of times before, you just didn't play. You'd stay home and do something else, or hopefully, if it's fall, you watch some football, maybe if you're lucky. But now we have this opportunity with like the Bogey Club or Frostburg Sport, and actually, I heard recently Green Turtles about to open up a couple simulators as well. This now brings in the opportunity for during the summertime when you get those days of downpour, or we get a week straight of rain and you can't play the course because they're too wet. Now have somewhere you can go. You rent a bay for 2-3 hours, take a couple buddies, go play some golf, have some drinks, have some food while you're there, and it's just like being on the course at that point. If anything, maybe even a little easier and a little less frustrating because you're not losing golf balls, right?
Yeah.
And then kind of going back to the wintertime. We know what the snow does up here, right? we've lived through that, right? So knowing that, I mean, golf essentially stops at the end of October when you're on the golf courses around here. You have a couple places that stay open here and there and try to stay open weather dependent, but we know where it goes at some point, right?
Yes.
So then we have about 4 or 5 months essentially that nobody's playing golf. Well, again, now that we have these simulators, that doesn't have to stop. And with like I said, both of the simulators that I teach at, they both offer winter leagues, so you're not just stuck just saying like, oh, I'm going to go rent it for an hour and hit balls. You can go find a partner, you can go play in the league, earn points, play all year, and go right along.
It's fantastic. It keeps people social. It
100%.
keeps you into those groups.
Yeah, and I mean, I know in years past, this past year, we haven't had a whole lot of rain. It was a great year for golf until Mother Nature had her way with the golf courses and started to damage the courses, right? And then we started to see some other issues, but ultimately there was very little bad weather for us to deal with. But in years past, I know of a handful of summers that I might have been able to play twice a month just because it was raining most of the rest of the month in this area. And then, like I said, we know what the winter does. I mean, we've had snow as early as October 1st.
Absolutely. You're talking about an average
March.
snowfall of around 180 to 200, inches per year.
Yeah.
That's typical for us. Now, I will say the last couple winters have actually been pretty mild.
Right.
In fact, last one it was a shocker, like 50 some.
Yep.
So it wasn't really what we're typically used to. But again, those are flukes these days. Some years we're gonna be a little slower, but on average we're gonna see around 180 inches.
Right.
And that is, well, not to be punny here, but par for the course.
Right.
For Garrett County. So it's nice that we can now go into these indoor venues and really enjoy that with groups, with friends, and it just helps to have something to do. Beat the winter blues. If someone were interested in doing lessons, do they have to be a current player in order to get involved? Do you take newbies? How does that work?
Yeah, absolutely. So I take everybody. Essentially, the only stipulation is when we get down to kids, generally the development side, you really don't want to start until they're at least around 8 or 9 years old.
Okay.
But from there, you can come see me whether you've played 60 years of your life and you're a scratch golfer and you just want to tune a few things up, or you're brand new, never touched a club in your life, don't even have golf clubs for that matter, and you want to get into it. I've worked with everybody from top down, and I have experience from any level of skill or any level of experience. So for me, my main goal is, regardless of where your skills are and where your expertise is, I want you to get better, regardless. And I'm going to tailor a plan to you specifically to make sure you get what you need out of it based off what your goals are. So a great example for that would be, let's say you come in, Connor, and you want to see, hey, I'm like a 25-30 handicap, right? Which essentially means we're shooting close to 100, right? and I want to be able to shoot in the low 90s. Realistically, that's probably going to take us about a year's worth of time. I'll write out a plan for you. I'll show you what's going on in your swing, give you some video feedback that you get to keep and look at later as well. And then we talk about like, hey, here are all the things that are good. Here are the things that are bad. Here are the things that we will see immediate change. Here are things that are going to take a little bit of time. And then in addition to that, hey, here's what we need to do on the golf course. So here's your chipping, your pitching, your putting, your bunker play. Here's your golf IQ. That's a big one that a lot of people really don't know much about. But it's really just being able to analyze what's going on and make the right decisions and keep yourself out of trouble. Eliminate those triple bogeys and get yourself closer to par, right? And all of that gets written into a plan for you that I explain and show you how much time is necessary. And then we talk about what kind of lesson plan works the best for you. Obviously, I have my idea of what I think needs to happen and my professional recommendation, but I know, look, everybody has their own lives. They have their own income and budget, that kind of stuff. So time and budget is something that ultimately I want to make sure that we accommodate that as well. So there's plenty of options in there. We have a menu of different lesson plans that we can attack to make sure we get you to where you want to be. But it's always built off of what your goals are and what you come in with.
Well, that's awesome. And, I kind of wish you were around when I was in college. The first time I'd ever swung a golf club, I was actually a member of Garrett College's golf team. I think the requirement to be on the team at the point was a heartbeat. And I thought, I'm not doing anything. I kind of suck at other sports. But let me try golf out, and I was in love with it right away. Now, the first time I, again, had swung a golf club, I was in a tournament. I'm surrounded by guys like you, guys that are in college to be playing golf. They're all analyzing me, and I pull out my driver, and I'm at the Cumberland Country Club, and I hit that thing off. I had my eyes closed, and I put it like maybe a foot from the hole. I'm ecstatic because I don't know what I'm doing. I just put it that close to the hole, and everyone around me is like, man, this kid's a cannon. We got to watch this guy from Garrett. He's gonna kill us today. Look at what he just did. And I think it was ejected by the fourth hole for losing all my golf balls. So I did get better. I'd say I ended up being an average player, but before I get back into it, I'm definitely going to come see you and sharpen up my game. I don't need to be closing my eyes and playing blind anymore.
Definitely. Definitely something we can work on.
Yeah. I don't need to be self-taught. I need to go to the expert and get some training in the sport.
Love it.
So thank you so much, Brady. Tell me a little bit about your contact information so that people can get a hold of you if they want to learn more about doing the golfing lessons or they want to learn more about the Junior Cup and how they can be involved. I know the community is really centered around giving back. Garrett County has always been a fantastic place filled with just the best people that want to be involved, that want to help out great organizations. What's your contact information? What are your websites? What are your numbers, emails? Give it to me.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll start with the Garrett County Junior Golf Tour. If you have a junior or anybody who wants to get involved, whether it's they want to play or they just want to help out in some way, or if any of the local businesses want to help donate to the cause and help us get the things these kids need, from prizes, bags, whatever it may be, you can find us on Facebook at Garrett County Junior Golf Tour. You can message myself or Jeremy. You can even reach out to me at my business page as well. So you can find us at Instagram at PinHighGolf24, Facebook at just PinHighGolf. You can also follow us on TikTok at PinHighGolf24 as well. The phone number to reach us is 301-616-0672. You can feel free to email us at brady.benton1017@gmail.com, or you can visit us at pinhighgolfinstruction.com. And of course, ask us any questions. We're happy to help.
Well, thank you so much, Brady, for all the information you gave us today. You were doing some awesome stuff in our community. Thanks so much for your involvement with the Junior Cup. And of course, thank you for what you do as a business owner. Your investment into our community is a big deal to us, and we appreciate all that you're doing here, providing an excellent service for people to get out there, get involved, and have something to do right here in our backyard. So thank you for what you do, and thank you all for listening to the Business Bear podcast. We appreciate having you along today. If you want to learn more about Brady, make sure you're hitting up all of his social media and, of course, his website. And if you want to learn more from the Business Bear podcast, follow us at Garrett County Business Development on our Facebook page. We've got Twitter or X, whatever it's called. We now have an Instagram and, of course, our LinkedIn for all the latest information of what's happening in your business community, including the latest episodes of the Business Bear podcast. Folks, it's Connor Norman. It's been an absolute pleasure hanging out with you today. We'll see you on the other side.